Hey guys, for today's video we are going to shop my makeup collection and create this look that's on my face today. I don't know about you guys, but with all these crazy launches, a lot of brands are launching products like every 3 to 4 months, even sooner than that. It's really hard to keep up, and if you're somebody like me and you're purchasing products with all these new launches, you forget what you already had in your collection, and that doesn't mean like the product's bad. You just, you're trying new things all the time. You're really in the hype with the new things, so you kind of forget about the things that you've already purchased previously in the past. With this video today, I mostly am going to be using the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, because honestly, I used to absolutely love this palette. It used to be my holy grail palette. I could travel with this palette like nobody's business. I wouldn't need anything else but this. I could do my contour with it, my highlighter, my whole eyes with it, my eyeliner, just about everything. And you know what, because of all these new launches all the time, I've honestly forgot about this palette, and it's been hiding in the corner of my vanity and pretty much collecting dust. So when I first actually purchased this palette and I actually used it, I would use Champagne Truffle as my highlighter a lot of the time. I would use Milk Chocolate as my contour shade, and my bronzer would actually be Semi-Sweet up here mixed with Milk Chocolate. And I used to actually set my under eye using White Chocolate right here, and then Triple Fudge right here would actually be my eyeliner. So when I first purchased this palette, it actually served a lot of uses for me. I know it doesn't seem like I have a huge dent in any of the shades right here, but I honestly used to use it all the time. But overall, I really missed playing with this palette. I think it was such a nice palette when I first originally purchased it, and then I started getting caught up with all these new makeup collections. I wanted to start experimenting more with color, and overall I just kind of forgot about it throughout the years, and I just kind of want to start playing with it a little bit more and kind of incorporating it more with my looks, because I know a lot of you guys have this palette as well. I also have the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette, so if you guys would like a tutorial using that palette as well, just let me know down in the comments and I'll happily film it for you guys. But yeah, if you would like to see how I did this look, just stay tuned on watching. So first things first is I'm going to go in with this NARS Pro Prime eyeshadow primer. I'm just going to lightly put this over the eyelid and kind of bring it up to the brow bone. Honestly, this primer is really nice. I just honestly forget to use it because I have like a little sample size, and I'm just so used to having the Too Faced one around me. But if you're looking for a nice primer, this one actually works really well. So out of the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, I'm going to go into White Chocolate right here, which is this kind of like matte ivory shade. And I'm going to go in with a Real Techniques medium shadow brush. And with this shade, I'm just going to lightly kind of set my eyeshadow primer. I always love using this palette because it smells like chocolate when you're applying it. And I love chocolate, so it's like right up my alley. Next, using the same palette, I'm going to go into Milk Chocolate right here, which is kind of a taupey brown shade. And then I'm going to go into Salted Caramel as well on the same brush, which is kind of a warm tone light brown. With these, I'm just going to apply them into my crease as a transitional shade and really start buffing this up to the brow bone. When blending these shades, I'm doing like little small circular motions just to really buff it out and kind of get everything really seamless. The next shade I'm going to go into is called Semi-Sweet, which is kind of a medium brown shade, and again I'm going to use my Sigma E35 tapered blending brush. And with this shade I'm really trying to focus it into the crease and really kind of bring in some more definition. And I'm also going to kind of like round out my outer V as well, just to kind of make my eyes look a little bit more rounded. I honestly forgot how well Too Faced eyeshadows blend out, because honestly I think a lot of people like myself, we are so caught up in like newer makeup and whatnot that we kind of forget what we have in our collection already. Kind of like, I have the Bonbon palette as well, and I love that palette, but then when you start seeing new things and you start purchasing new things, and then you kind of forget about what you have, or you don't use it as much. But honestly, these shadows are really blending out like a dream. There's barely any kickback in the pan, and overall it's just, I'm having a really nice experience with them. Next I'm going to go into Cherry Cordial right here, which is a beautiful kind of like a burgundy undertone kind of brown shade. I really honestly love this shade. It reminds me a lot of MAC's Sketch, if you guys are familiar with that shade. And then again, I'm just going to use my Sigma E35 tapered blending brush. And again, I'm just going to kind of apply this in the outer kind of third of the eye and really kind of like smoke it inwards. So what I'm doing is I'm placing my brush in my outer kind of third, and then just kind of rocking it towards the center of my eye and then kind of fluffing it downwards. I'm kind of doing that C curve in my outer V. I honestly remember when this palette was like the coolest palette to have and like the best palette pretty much on the market. And I also remember when people were complaining about like the packaging being too thick, because I remember when this first came out that it was like a little bit bigger than this and people are like, this is so bulky. And then they made it just a little bit smaller for people. But honestly, I love this palette. I honestly am surprised I haven't been using it more just because it's just, I don't know, it just blends out so well and it's really convenient. And it kind of has like any shade that you really need if you want to do like natural makeup. And the next shade I'm going to go into is called Triple Fudge right here, which is a chocolate brown shade using a Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush. And with this shade, I'm really going to focus it in the outer V only and kind of fluff it inwards. I'm using it pretty much sparingly, just to open up the eyes and really kind of make this kind of outer V really smoky. Next, using my finger, I'm going to go into this shade called Hazelnut right here. I'm just going to apply this onto the eyelid. And again, using my finger, now I'm going to go into the shade called Marzipan right here, which is kind of a champagne shade. This shade, I'm going to lightly put it in the center of the lid. Just to bring some more light to the eye, to kind of open it as well. Now going back in with that Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush with Cherry Cordial and Triple Fudge, I'm just going to lightly go back in my crease and kind of just make sure everything's really nice and blended and defined. So here's where I'm at right now with the eyes, and then off camera I'm just going to apply the rest of my face. For contour today, we're going to go in with the Kevyn Aucoin, the Sculpting Powder in the shade Light, using a Sigma F40 brush. And with this, I'm just going to go in the hollows of my cheeks, up to my ear. And then for my nose contour, I'm going to use the Real Techniques 305 kind of eyeshadow brush from the Brush Crush collection. And then again, using the same powder, I'm just going to lightly dust this on the sides of my nose. And for blush today, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Cosmetics Studio Blush in the shade Mellow Mauve, using a Real Techniques 302 blush brush out of the Brush Crush collection. That is a tongue twister. I honestly love these e.l.f. Studio blushes. They are just so nice, and they just have the right amount of pigmentation. Because they're not like super crazy pigmented, but they also are very buildable. And then for highlighter today, I'm going to use something that I used to use all the time, and that is the e.l.f. Cosmetics Illuminating palette. And then this is in Catwalk Pink. I'm just going to go in with these two lighter shades right here. I'm going to skip out on these darker shades. And then I'm just going to use a Real Techniques fan brush, again from the Brush Crush collection. And I'm just going to apply this onto my cheekbones. Honestly, this brush is a little too flimsy, I think, for highlighter. Maybe it's just, it doesn't work well with this one. But it seems like the brush isn't dense enough for highlight. Instead, I'm just going to go in with a Sheena B crease brush. Honestly, I'm just not liking how not intense that highlight is, so I'm going to go in with Moonlight Pearls from e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is one of their baked highlighters, and then again, I'm just going to use that Real Techniques fan brush. And to finish off the eyes, I'm going to go into, again, the Chocolate Bar palette from Too Faced using Champagne Truffle on this Eco Tools smudger brush. And I'm going to apply this with a wet brush, and I'm just going to pop this right into my inner corner. And then kind of bring it underneath the lash line just a little bit as well, just to open up the eyes. Since you're already there, we might as well just put a little bit underneath the brow bone as well. And again, I'm just using the same brush and just lightly blending it out with my finger. So here's the finished look, and using products that I just kind of shopped my collection for. And honestly, I really like how the look turned out. I think it's really fun. It's definitely something I haven't done on my channel. I know I normally do like really bright and colorful looks, or like darker smoky eyes with a lot of color to them. But this time around, I thought I would do something a little bit more neutral because you guys have been asking for it. And also, I just kind of wanted to use a neutral palette today. So the first thing we are going to talk about is the NARS Pro Prime Eyeshadow Primer. Honestly, this primer to me just isn't anything different than my Too Faced one. You know, it kind of just doesn't do much for me, I guess. I wouldn't buy the full size one because I believe that the Too Faced one is actually cheaper. And this one, I just don't see that there's any big difference for me to go purchase this one over that. And also, I don't really like that it has a lip gloss kind of applicator. I definitely prefer a squeeze tube because I feel like it's just a little bit more sanitary, and then, you know, I don't have to apply this onto my eyelid or the back of my hand and then go for it. I can just use my Too Faced one, squeeze it onto the back of my hand or onto my finger and just go that way. As for the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, honestly, this palette is just how I remember. It was a really nice palette. You know, the shades are very pigmented, very easy to work with, they're very blendable, you know, just overall a really nice quality palette. The reason I just don't use this palette as much as I used to is because there's really no pops of color for me. You know, it's just kind of more on the bland side. You know, you can pretty much only do like warm and neutral colored looks with it. You can't really, you know, there's not really too many cool tone shades in it, you know, and you have, I think, this light pink right here and this purple shade for pops of color. And to be completely honest, this purple isn't that great for a pop of color. It's very muted. It's just overall not that pigmented, at least in the palette that I have. However, I'm not going to knock the formula or the quality of the eyeshadows in here. This palette is overall just a really nice palette, especially if you're somebody that only likes like a natural neutral kind of look. This palette would be great for you, and honestly, it's a very nice palette to have in your collection if you're looking for a really good staple neutral palette. Will I be using this palette more often? Probably, honestly. I could see this palette being really nice for travel because it has like this hard metal case to it, which is really nice to just throw in your purse. You don't have to worry about it. And you know, it has a really nice strong magnet to it as well. But if you have been looking to purchase this palette, I highly do recommend it. You know, it's been around for a very long time, but you know, there's a reason for it as well because it has a nice formula to it, and I can definitely see why people use it still. The blush I used today, you know, it's just how I remember as well. You know, it's really fun. You know, I really like that it's not that pigmented because honestly, I'm not somebody that likes a really pigmented blush. I think they're very hard to work with, very hard to blend out when they're too pigmented. But, you know, for $3 to $5, this blush is really nice. You get a little mirror on the top, and you also get a really nice pan size as well. You know, it's not a very, like, small pan either, so it'll take you a bit to get through it. I also really like the undertone as well because, you know, it's not too cool toned, it's not too warm toned, it's like right in the middle. It's perfect as well as a contour powder if you're in a pinch. I actually used to use this one in high school just for that because I like the tone of it so much. But overall, if you're looking for a really nice affordable blush, these studio blushes from e.l.f. are amazing. As for the Wet n Wild Illuminating palette in Catwalk Pink, you know, completely honest, you know, it's not going to give you a blinding highlight. If you're somebody that likes a blinding highlight, this palette is definitely not for you. But if you're like somebody that has a lot of texture on your skin and you want just a little bit of glow and just a little bit of sheen, you don't want too much, but just enough to be a little bit more on the trendy side, this palette would be really nice for you. And honestly, you get a really nice size pan. Here's a MAC single eyeshadow, and then here is this. So as you can see, this palette is huge. And I think it's like $5 or so at Walmart and Walgreens. So I mean, it's really just a nice, reasonably priced highlighting palette. One of my absolute favorite drugstore highlighters is this one from e.l.f., the Baked Highlighter in Moonlight Pearls. It is the most pretty champagne kind of highlighter shade. It's almost a little bit more on the gold side as well, but overall this color is just really nice. And I think this is about $3 as well, just like the Studio Blush. But as you can see, this color, it's just really nice. It has a nice sheen to it. It's very buildable. If you're somebody that doesn't like a lot of highlighter, you can kind of tone it down a little bit. And if you want a blinding highlight, you can apply it wet, and it'll give you the most beaming highlight that you're looking for. And for lips today, I used the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Androgyny Liquid Lipstick. This is the holiday collection that he first initially launched this shade in. But honestly, I really love the tone of this lipstick. I think it's beautiful. It is honestly one of my favorite shades from him. It's just, you know what, with wearing a lot of brighter shades, you know, this color just doesn't go well with them. So I just normally don't wear it a lot, but the formula is great. You know, I've had this lipstick, I think, like either 2 to 3 years, and you know what, it's still working fine. You know, it's not dried out by no means. The clicker in the cap still works, so it's very airtight. And overall, it's just a really nice lipstick, and if you're looking to purchase androgyny, it's a beautiful color. I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below, and if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time.